Hi guys, welcome back to TBS Skylabs. We're now on to the third part, which is implementation, also known as coding in this case, where we actually start making our stuff. So if you haven't watched the previous videos, that's probably fine, but we just had a very brief look at what might be some of the requirements and the planning with the class diagram. So we come up with some requirements like these, and then we tried to make a class diagram like this. Now this class diagram, as we said before, still missing loads of stuff, but hopefully it's an exercise for some of you guys to go and add stuff in. Anyway, so today we're going to be looking at the word node class, and generally our focus is going to be on what classes are. And in short, classes are like cookie cutters. They are templates. And from these templates, we can make individual cookies, and individual cookies would be called instances. So each cookie cutter is a class. So these are two different classes, and we could make multiple instances from different classes. Let's think about it as like maybe you have an animal class, but you could make a dog, you could make a cat. So they're going to be similar. They all fit into the very rough brackets of being an animal. However, each individual animal type is going to be an instance. Hopefully that'll work. Anyway, so this was our word node diagram, and we have our attributes, and then we're going to have some methods. And those are the two main things of classes. So attributes are like information about the instance, whereas methods are things that the instance can do. Were it to be an animal, let's say a dog class, maybe the animal's name is going to be Lucifer, which is my dog's name. But dogs can do things like bark or run or climb mountains. So this is the things it can do, and this is the information about it. And these things can change from, we'll talk about overloading and polymorphism later. Generally speaking, every animal might have different attributes, but can do more or less the same things with those attributes. Yeah, all the dogs can speak, all the dogs can run, but one dog is called Lucifer, another dog is called Harley. Let's give it a try. So let's start by, I've made a little project in PyCharm. You can use any IDE, but PyCharm is quite good for managing different files and stuff. So we're going to be using lots of different classes. So while I actually really like idle, it's not great for managing multiple files. So let's make a new Python file. And this one is going to be called word node. Now, I could do that, but Python prefers it if you do the classes without the underscores. Actually, this is the file name, so it doesn't matter so much. But anyway, Java habit in Java, if you have a class in a file, it should be the same name. So word node. Boom. So I'm going to make my class, which is my template. Now, whenever you first make something, you are going to have a init. Missing an I. So init means initialize, and initialize means, oh my god, PyCharm, come on. And initialize means like setup or beginning. So whenever you make a new instance, this method, this function, will automatically run at the start, and it has to be called underscore underscore init underscore underscore. Who decided it? Who knows? But that's just the way it works. So you're going to make a constructor. And in the constructor, we're going to set up our attributes. Now, I quite like to set up my attributes here, but you don't have to. So self, and then if I go back to my class diagram, I can see that I've got main language as a string. So self.main underscore lang. Now for now I'm going to set it to none. We can change that later. Or we will change that later. Now I'm not going to do it for every single one, but again, it's really suggested for paper 4 and paper 2 that if you are ever writing stuff, declare, you write the pseudocode of the declaration above it. So declare main lang as string. Yeah, now it's a pain to have to do that all the time, but it's one of the challenges of using Python. If it were Java, you would have to say like string, blah blah blah. You'd have to give it the declaration before you could actually use it. Python's super friendly, but sometimes too friendly, especially when we're doing A-level stuff. Okay, anyway, so I've got the main language. Now, again, you should write the declaration out in pseudocode above it, but we also need self.learn lang script equals none. And learn lang script. And then we also had self.learnlang pronoun for the pronunciation. Pronoun. For anyone who wasn't here before, we were doing this. So this is the main language, this is the script, and this is the pronunciation. It won't be the same if you have, say, like Italian and French. You don't need to have script, you could just have a single thing. But because Nepali has 2 ways to do it, I'm going to have both. Exciting. Okay, so this is my class, this is my constructor. Were I to make an instance, let's call it test1, I could say equals word node, bracket bracket. Now, if I were to print word node, dot mainline, test1 dot mainline, test1 dot mainline, then it's going to say none because it says none here. Now, I could change the main language. I could say test1 dot main, come back to China, mainlang equals, say hello, and it's going to say hello. Now, here's the thing. So this is an instance. This is a cookie. This is a cookie cutter. I don't know what I pressed there. So let's put, it says class here, I don't need to write class above it, but this is the class, and then I've made an instance of the class. Now, if I made a second cookie, or a second instance, formatting things quite strict with the way they do it. Anyway, so let's say I made a second instance called test2. Equals new node, Java again, word node, bracket bracket, test2. Okay, so what do you think would happen? If I do test1.mainline, what's it going to say? And if I do test2.mainline, what's it going to say? So what are going to be the 2 outputs here, and in which order? So hello and none. Okay, so with this one, with test1 I've changed the language to say hello, whereas with test2 I have left it as none. So although both these instances are created from the same class, their attributes are different. Their attributes inside of them are now different. So like I said before, it's like cookies having different amounts of sugar or other such things. They are like 2 different objects that we have created down here. Let's try again then. What if I were to do test2 dot mainline equals Goodbye. I know that's more than one word, but you know what I mean. Okay, so we've got goodbye. So what do you think it's going to say down here? We're going to go all Umbrella Academy and say hello, goodbye. Okie doke. So although these are instances made from the same class, they are not the same objects. They are different things. Okay, so that's not too bad to begin with. Now, at present, my constructor is just taking in self. So every time I make a new instance, it's setting it to none. And then I would have to do like test one.main language equals hello, test one.main language script equals whatever, and then test one.learn, test one.learn language pronunciation is going to be what? Now that's obviously becoming a bit of a hassle. So what I can do is I can change my constructor so that when I make the instance, I can just give it this information right away. So if I go back up to my constructor here, I can say mlang, m_lang. Again, you should probably write it out as full words, especially if you're doing it in for A level or whatever. Lang s for my script. Kang, oh, Kang the Conqueror. And then lang p. Now notice these are really hard to differentiate, so it's not the right way to do it. PR. Okay, still not great, but for now it's okay. But in the exams, you don't want it to be that way. So when they, what are these referring to? Well, they refer to whatever I put in the brackets here. So now I can say hello. Oh, I can get rid of all this here. So now I can say hello, comma, and then what's the script going to be? Well, the script's going to be, I wish I could tell you, but I can't because I'm not very good at the poly yet. This program will help me, I promise. I will actually do it. Someone come and check on me later. Hello is going to be that. Oh, oh, for goodness sake. PyCharm is sometimes not as helpful as it thinks it is. And then I want the pronunciation as well. So I'm going to take this because it's got an accent on it, and writing accents on keyboards is a bit messy. Again, put it in quotation marks. It's just a string. There we go. Now, this seems to have been added by PyCharm just to let me know what each is referring to. But this is not actually part of the code, this bit here. This is just PyCharm extras. Okay. Okay, so now I said the main language is none, but actually I want the main language to be mlang. Terrible. M. And I want the script to be L. Oh, for goodness sake. Lang script. And I want the pronunciation to be lang p. Okay, so now you'll see that this one stopped working. This is gonna, if I try and run this, it should give me an error. There we go, it's missing arguments. Okay, so now this instance should be working. Now let's just get rid of instance 2 and print test 1 dot mainline, comma test 1 dot the script. Okay, so I'm going to print these two things next to each other. What do you think the output is going to be? Again, pause it, have a think. I'll just keep going on this side though. So if I run it, you see it says hello and namaste. So that's because I put the slang has become the script and the mlang has become the main language. And so this is using the constructor to create the object. But it's very important to notice that if were I to delete these things, if I was to delete all that and I tried to create an empty node with just nones inside of it, not going to work because it's saying I need these things here. Now, other languages, you can do what's called overloading, which is part of the A level, so hopefully you know what that means. Python does not let you overload the constructor. However, you can set defaults. So mlang equals none, slang s equals none, and llang pure equals none. Okay, and this way I could create an empty, I hope, an empty word node, even though I didn't provide the parameters to the constructor. What would happen if I did print test2.main.mainlang? What do you think it's going to say? It's going to say hello, namaste, and it's going to say none afterwards. Okay. However, were I to give it these parameters in the when it was being made through the constructor, then I would be able to pass in other different words to make a different instance. Okay, so I mean, hopefully that's given you something to start with. Now we're not actually we don't actually need a method right now, but I think it's probably useful if we do. So it's very common to have a method called toString. Okay, now toString is going to output all of the attributes together. You can decide how you want to do it. I'm going to do it as a comma. So I'm going to return the self.mainlang plus a comma, and then I'm going to do self dot and a plus here. So this is making it all into one string. Learn lang script plus a comma. That's not a comma, that's a thingy comma. Sorry, bad me. Then I'm going to do plus important. Okay, and this is going to return it. So what does return mean? Well, now let's say I run it and I do test. I probably shouldn't delete my last one. Test1 equals word node bum bum. What was it? Hello, comma, namaste, comma, something else. And let's take the script from here. Now, actually, my hope is that if I do this while I'm working, I might actually get better at spotting what the different scripts mean, just in terms of language. It's part of my thinking here for doing this kind of project. Okay, so I now got that. Now, if I were to do test1.toString, I don't know what happened there, but okay. Let's try again. Test1.toString. What do you think the output is going to be? Nothing, which is correct. Okay, so we're not printing. Return and print are not the same thing. If I wanted to print this stuff, then I would have to print what I am calling. So test1.toString, this will become equal to whatever is in the return section. And so hopefully, yay, it's all being printed out as a single string. So again, test1.toString. So if I call this method, then it becomes equal to the return bit of my method. If I didn't print it, nothing would happen. But I could, like, for example, save it to a variable name, like output equals, and then I could print output. So this is going to become equal to this, and then it's going to be printed out down here. Okay, so these are constructors. The constructors declares, sorry, should have put it in there, attributes. And then, so this is like the data about our object. And then our methods are the things that our instances, or things that our objects can do. Yeah, again, hopefully we've covered enough of this in class that you're not going to be like, oh my god, what is he talking about? Anything else? Yeah, the only other thing I would maybe add in is that so if you're asked to declare something as public or private, so again, this just doesn't work very well in Python, and so Python's not the best for A level. But if the rule, I believe, is that if you want an attribute to be private in Python, then you do underscore underscore. Okay, now that's going to mess up everything further down. Okay, so now if this were Java and we had made this one private, declare private main as private main as string, then this should not be accessible from outside of the program. So if I were to do print test one dot, oh, it's not even showing up there, which is good. Test one dot underscore underscore main lang main underscore lang. Okay, then it should give me an error. Okay, which is correct. So what we often have to do then, so this one is public and this one is private. So public attributes can only be accessed from inside of the instance. You cannot directly access them from outside the instance. So what we have to make are things called getters and setters. Yeah. So for example, for mainline, I could do def set main lang self. Uh-oh, it doesn't like the formatting. Function name should be lowercase. Okay, sorry. Set underscore main underscore lang. And then I could do self dot main lang equals, and I could bring in something in the method up here. So like, what do I call it? Lang. Lang. And then that way I could set the main language. Now I'm still not going to be able to print it, but I could do test one dot set main lang to be, I don't know, no. Okay, don't know why I'm setting it to be no, and it should do it. Now it's not working because I'm still trying to print it down here, but that should change the main language to be no. But then I need what's called a getter, so I could def get main lang self, and then I have to have a return, so return self.mainlang. Now I'd imagine for most of you, you're like, why would you do that? Stop wasting my time. Okay, so let's see here. I can print test1.get mainline, and it should say, I hope, no. Yay! Okay, so this one is going to change it, and this one is going to return it. Again, hopefully this is just review for most of you. I'll try and make like a more detailed class thing at a later time. But why do we bother with this? This seems like a big faff, doesn't it? It seems like a waste of time. Well, to some extent it is. In this kind of program where there's no security involved, I don't need to worry too much, I'm not interacting with other people, it's all just my stuff, and frankly it doesn't matter if it goes wrong. It's probably okay to do it this way, or to do it not as public. But if you were dealing with stuff where, high security, or where you were worried that people were trying to deliberately destroy or break your programs. Now, when people interact with your class, if they can just change stuff directly, for example, mainline, if they can just change it to whatever they want, and there's no protections and there's no rules, then that could actually crash your program or cause you problems. So really, what you want to have are these gateways in, especially like the setting one. And you should only be able to set it if you meet certain validation criteria. So you probably want to have a whole bunch of validation in here before you try and change the main language. For example, checking that it doesn't contain numbers, because there's no reason for it to contain numbers. And again, this is, if it was all just our program, it's probably fine. But imagine we were using things like Google APIs, where basically everybody and their grandmother can interact with the Google software. If you could just change stuff inside of it, then it's going to cause a lot of problems. Let's say, an API for a bank. So I'm interacting with a bank's class, and I just say, like, my account dot credit equals $1 billion, or $1 million. And that would be not very good, would it? Because I shouldn't be able to do that. And so this is a lot to do with what we call sort of encapsulation. It's about like hiding the information from the outside, but it's also about protecting those doorways into our own programs, because it's not quite as simple as what we're doing today, which is sitting down and just writing our own little self-contained program. Most programming these days, at least on the commercial level, is going to have a fair amount of interactions with other programs, and you want to make sure that things meet the validation requirements for your own program. Alrighty, maybe going a bit off topic there, but hopefully, I don't know if that is 7 on here. But hopefully that's going to be enough for today. Okay, and next time we'll have a look at our binary tree and how that works. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.